Now, are you guys in the camp of banning Dragoon, Red Eyes Fusion, or Verte Anaconda? Hey guys, this is Tom Box. Welcome to MST.TV, and today we are doing an episode of Ban List R&D. We're going to do a little bit of research and development on how to put some of these cards into the ban list. Today's episode, we're talking about Predaplant, Verte Anaconda, Red Eyes Fusion, and Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. But on top of that, we also have to kind of bring in something from the future, and that's going to be Fusion Destiny, which already exists, and of course, with the upcoming Rising Star card, we have Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Some of you guys might be wondering, hey, why are you talking about Fusion Destiny and Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer? Like, that stuff is in the future. Konami doesn't preemptively hit stuff. Well, from time to time, Konami does do a little preemptive hitting just so that the release of the card is a little bit more tame. But in this particular case, I don't think it's going to happen because it's not like a giant master rule change, so I think it'll be fine. I don't think that they're really going to take any hit, but we're going to put these cards into context just so that we kind of know what we're dealing with when we're hitting some of these cards on this list. Now, unlike previous banlist R&Ds where I talk about a light tap, a medium hit, or a heavy knockout punch to the deck, this one's more or less hitting it in terms of the potential of the card, the accessibility, rather than just the knockout punch. Of course, the knockout punch would be straight up just ban Red Eyes Dark Dragoon so no one can play with it, but that doesn't completely eliminate the abusiveness that we have towards Verte Anaconda. It's just that we're just gonna move on from Red Eyes Dark Dragoon into Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Alright, why don't we kick it off with Verte Anaconda? So what happens if Verte Anaconda, well, takes the first ban here? If we did ban Verte Anaconda, what would it actually really affect? Essentially, to make Verte Anaconda, you just need two monsters, and that essentially leads to Verte Anaconda. Verte Anaconda eventually sends like a fusion spell into the graveyard at the cost of 2,000 life points, and boom, you get a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So all it really means is two monsters equals Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is the path of Verte Anaconda. So which are the decks that are most affected by this Verte Anaconda, and does that even actually solve the problem of what we're looking at, which is the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon being spammed onto the board? I mean, if it wasn't for Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, would you even care about the Verte Anaconda? But that's actually something we'll get into afterwards. So Dark Magician decks, if the Verte Anaconda was dead, they'd probably still play the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon because that doesn't really affect them, because they can still play the Red Eyes Fusion, and drawing into it, I guess, isn't exactly too bad. And even if they didn't have the Red Eyes Fusion, they still probably play the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon because they can use their own within engine spell to get the polymerization out, or rather the spell card that you just Eye of Timaeus, whatever that you can to use a Dark Magician as a part of the material. So this card would probably still play it. In terms of Phantom Knights, I'm pretty sure this one's not going to play it anymore because their quickest access to making the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is that they have an endless body supply to generate the Predaplant Verte Anaconda. And I guess without that, there's no point. Then why would you play two bricks that don't really help with your deck at all? I mean, Dark Magician naturally runs Dark Magician, so that's that. Drytrons, we're going to cut that out. So in other words, their follow-up will be gone. I think that's actually a good thing because this follow-up is pretty lethal. I mean, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon takes games on its own. Prank Kids isn't really caring about this Red Eyes Fusion. If they were to use the Verte Anaconda, they're using it for perhaps Thunder Dragon Fusion, and I'm not even sure if they use that even now because I think it's kind of pointless. They have their own in-engine within Archetype, Pandemonium as their real fusion spell. Verte Anaconda is more or less an extra card unless you're really teching into the Thunder Dragon Fusion to get out your Battle Butler. So that's also an X out. Now we get into the more interesting choices. Subterra Guru. Subterra Guru, they don't care. They probably run 3 copies of the Red Eyes Fusion just so they can see it because they are not relying on the Verte Anaconda to begin with anyway. I mean, sure, they can play it, but they probably don't need it. So, in other words, these two decks are still going to be in place. As for Alistair, you might still see them play Red Eyes Fusion. I feel like it's not really that good because I get that Meltdown plus Red Eyes Fusion is one of the most lethal things available. You can't Ash a thing anymore. It's just really strong play. This one to me is a bit of a question mark, but essentially you get a lot of decks that just rely on generating 2 monsters to go into Verte. Yeah, those will be cut out, but those who embrace the use of Red Eyes Fusion, they are going to be fine. Now, let's kind of jump into say, the Fusion Destiny stuff. What about Fusion Destiny? Unlike Red Eyes Fusion, can be a 3-of in any deck and they'd still play it, and so hitting the Verte Anaconda kind of leaves the whole Phoenix Enforcer completely untouched for most cases. I mean, if you don't make it, you make it. But if you leave the Verte Anaconda alone, it just makes it so that this guy is just also really, really easy to make. So Verte Anaconda, to me, doesn't exactly solve the problem of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. If Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is your problem, and you can't answer it in a simplified game state, this might not be the one choice for you. So this, to me, would be the lightest tap. Okay, so let's move on to card number 2, Red Eyes Fusion. Hitting away Red Eyes Fusion directly impacts whether or not you can play Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. However, well, let's go into deck choices. So in other words, even if you do have the 2+ monsters, you can go into Predator Plant Verte Anaconda, you can access any of your other spell cards, but Red Eyes Fusion will basically be a no-go. This can't go that path, but this path is still okay. You can still go into Fusion Destiny, Shadow Fusion, any of those Super Poly. So in other words, it's still alright. It's not like the worst card available. So only this path is cut off, so you just can't get there. But if you do want to get to the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, Dark Magician player, probably unaffected, they don't really care. Phantom Knight players, definitely affected. So in other words, this one still can't really use it because you want the Red Eyes Fusion to get into the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You're mainly teching the 3 cards, the 2 bricks, and the fusion spell to get there. If you're a deck that only does that, you can say goodbye to that. Now, Verte Anaconda, to leaving it within Prankids, they can still do their Thunder Dragon Fusion play if they're playing that tech. That's fine. But if you hit Red Eyes Fusion, that actually directly impacts Guru now. So Guru takes a hit here. And I think it's also a pretty decent hit for Alistair. Although Alistair players, like Shadow players, they might still have a copy of Verte Anaconda just because they have Shadow Fusion that they can still send to the graveyard if they generate 2 bodies and can't get access to a fusion spell. That's fine and dandy, but if they are going to play Verte Anaconda, just so they probably still have access to something. But probably not going to be playing the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So that actually cuts off more people from getting access to Dragoon than that. But Red Eyes players will probably be a little bit upset because we are always a little bit more sympathetic within archetype. But remember, collateral damage occurs usually because like an archetype outside of your archetype is abusing your archetype's key spell or something like that, and that just makes it so that they get hit on the ban list. People get upset. It's like, oh my god, my cards got hit because this other deck abused it. It's like Drytrons. Ben 10 got hit not because of Cyber Angels. Ben 10 got hit because Drytrons abused the crap out of Ben 10. So in that regard, if you take away the Red Eyes Fusion, Red Eyes players would be upset, but you can say that everyone else isn't sad about, you know, Red Eyes players. So yeah, I guess there's that going for them. However, even though, now let's take it back a step right here. Even though people won't have as many access to Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, I think it's a fair assessment to say that, like, even though this particular path is cut off with the Red Eyes Fusion from the Verte Anaconda, 2 monsters right now can still lead to Fusion Destiny, leading into the Phoenix Enforcer. And this Phoenix Enforcer, if you guys don't know what this card does, you guys are really living under a rock, because you're gonna, come November, you guys are in for a terrible surprise when your board starts to get nuked out of the ground, and you start to realize nothing really works against this card because it keeps on reviving itself. Okay, if you guys want TLDR of the effect, it's a quick effect Scrap Dragon that does not target, and whenever it gets destroyed by battle or card effect, it gets to revive a Destiny hero, including itself, in the next standby phase. In other words, even if it comes back, even if you try to Nibiru him, he's going to pop himself in another card. It doesn't even have to be the opponent's card. I really wish I said opponent's card, then it'd be a lot more tame, but it's any card on the field, so they'll just pop their own cards, and if they popped all the monsters, Nibiru's not summoning out, and now you don't have to feel a giant rock coming at you the next turn. So this card is insanely incredible. I think, let me just get the arrows back in. I think the Dark Magician players, I'm going to count them out on here. Usually Dark Magician players are a bit more of a purist. This is 100% going here. So we're going to see basically the transition from Dragoon to Phoenix Enforcer. And will Drytron players play this? This is actually an interesting question. Will Drytron player, but probably I would say they do it too. This one just doesn't. This one doesn't even care. This one is just there for fun because you usually lock yourself into prank hits anyways. Guru player, yeah, they're 100% gonna go through the Fusion Destiny route, and even for. I think it's just so techable. It actually makes Verte Anaconda even more profitable because just like Fusion Destiny is much easier to use compared to Red Eyes Fusion. Even if you draw into it, this is like a 3 of whenever people play it, whereas Red Eyes Fusion is a 1 of in comparison because Fusion Destiny you can just activate it at the end and you still get into the Phoenix Enforcer, which means even if you build a very much established board and you get Nibiru'd, if you play Fusion Destiny to follow up, you can pop the Nibiru not the token, but you can pop the Nibiru on the opposing side, and you get to keep a really sticky monster. Like, although these two monsters are constantly like compared on like right now, but to be honest, they are similar classes of monster with different benefits for each, and that's the best way to kind of categorize these two. So if you were to hit Red Eyes Fusion, Guru players will suffer for a little bit, but they're going to transition into Fusion Destiny. That does not hurt them whatsoever. And finally, what if we banned Red Eyes Dark Dragoon? Essentially, you kind of make Red Eyes Fusion really useless outside of a lot of decks. And a lot of people don't mind that collateral damage of Red Eyes Fusion ruining Red Eyes decks, because Red Eyes decks, you don't really see them in tournament unless you are one of those players. I'm sorry, but like collateral damage is bound to happen. Ask all the Cyber Angel players, how did Drytron ruin Ben 10 for them? Same idea here. But it's for the greater good. I'm sorry if people are abusing your spells, you know how it feels. I mean, Destiny hero players know how it feels when Fusion of Destiny is used against them, and now they have to deal with their own boss monster. You can't even use Call by the Grave on this guy when you have your own, because it sucks. It sucks when it dies, it activates, and you have to pop your own. Yours doesn't get revived either, so you guys know how it hurts. Okay, Dark Magician players, let's just put an X on it. They're more of a purist, and likely they might, well, they probably still could play Fusion Destiny, but they're not going to rely on the route through Predaplant Verte Anaconda, and it does lower the value, but let's face it, Predaplant Verte Anaconda still can go here leading into this, and this leads to what? Celestial, in the more generic sense. Celestial plus, what's the last card? Probably Dasher. Right, it's these two. And if it's like purely D hero, you're probably gonna see Malicious, and the other monster that's probably gonna be sent is probably gonna be Denier. I wonder if they're gonna change his name to Denial, but like anyways, it's Denier and Malicious. These are the two cards that are gonna be sent by D hero players or hero players, and these are gonna be sent by generic players. But in other words, the amount of bricks that you're going to be playing is still the same. However, these aren't just like these guys. They're not bad bricks in the sense that, oh, you put them in the graveyard, they don't do anything. I mean, this is a pot of greed that you just load it into your graveyard and it's ready to go. As long as you can empty out your hand. So in terms of, say, this particular deck, we're looking at Phantom Knights. Are they going to play Verte Anaconda? Absolutely. They are going in that direction. Let's just cross out this particular deck here. Prank Kids, you are irrelevant to this equation. Then there is also Drytrons. Will Drytrons play? Will Drytron even be a deck? If Drytron still lived, will they play Predaplant Verte Anaconda? I'm pretty sure they would, and even with the Fusion of Destiny, unlike Red Eyes Fusion, this is this can easily be a 3 of in the deck, and drawing into it doesn't even feel that bad. Next, Subterror. Subterror for the Dragoon part, it's a complete hit, but they still get to get a control-based monster, so will they play Verte Anaconda? Probably not. They're probably going to go more directly into the Fusion of Destiny here, and I don't know if they want to load their deck with more Destiny heroes. That's the thing. I mean, they could definitely do more. I mean, therefore getting to 2 of the Phoenix Enforcers, that's pretty good. But overall, it does feel a little bit weird because it doesn't really protect their back row. It's still susceptible to all sorts of crap, and Kaiju's hurt the deck even more now. But what about the Alistair, the Invoker, Shadow players? They're still going to play this, and they're still going to go down this path, and they're probably still going to do everything available because just this card is just amazing, really strong. So which of these cards do you think deserves a ban or a limit on the list? I mean, there's no point limiting Verte Anaconda. Most people only play one copy of Verte anyway, so that's probably not going to do very much, am I right? So if this was to get hit, this probably would only be receiving a ban. Red Eyes Fusion could either go to 1 or it could take a ban. And Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, it's either or, but this is kind of what we're looking at in terms of banning. And let's look at the pathing here. The lower you hit, the more affected it gets in terms of Dragoon. If you hit Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, you're going to hit the entire Dragoon path. However, we can't, account that that's the only thing left, because Fusion Destiny is going to lead into the Red Eyes, or sorry, not Red Eyes, but the Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, which kind of reopens the path for a couple of these archetypes available. But if we're strictly just looking at Predaplant Verte Anaconda, and there's going to be that October month where there's just not going to be any Dragoon, so if you hit just Predaplant Verte Anaconda, it's just going to be the decks that can abuse 2 monsters to actually get it out. Basically not really affecting all too much. If you hit the Red Eyes Fusion, on the other hand, which is a 1 chain lower, it's going to affect Subterra Guru, it's going to affect Drytron players, it's going to affect Phantom Knights, it's going to affect anyone that plays the Red Eyes Fusion card. Ultimately, it does affect much lower down the chain, and if you were to hit the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon itself, you affect even more stuff. Which is the Dark Magician decks will take a hit. I mean, sure, they're rogue, but like they are still dedicated, and this also hits pretty hard with all the other previously mentioned archetypes. So I think personally, in my opinion, if they were to follow suit in OCG, I personally wouldn't mind Dragoon taking the L on this one and just make a shift to Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, because I don't know how I would feel if I had to deal with both of these and account for both of these in the format. The way you answer for both of these, they're kind of different, and let's just say destroying, like being able to like battle over like a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, it feels really good, but you'll never be able to battle over the Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. So like the entire playstyle is going to shift, and I think maybe that's not exactly a bad thing. Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh could use a little bit of a freshness, because the format's been solved for a very long time, so I'm really hoping that the ban list do shake things up a bit, and maybe Dragoon will be gone for a little while. Do you think I think Dragoon's gonna be banned forever? Probably not, because there's gonna be the Dark Magician support. Illusion of Chaos is quite an impressive card to actually search out some of your stuff, so I'm actually looking forward to some of the stuff coming up too. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of an insight towards what happens when you hit some of these cards, and what are the future pathing that we can use in terms of what if your card does get banned, and does it deserve such a heavy hit? Leave it down in the comment section. I appreciate it. I would read it. And if you guys enjoyed an episode like this one, smash that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding the notification bell. It really helps the channel out. Don't forget to check out MSTmerch.com. Quick announcement here. The box dividers, they are back in stock, and you guys better get to it, because they are selling really, really fast. And I don't know if there's any left by the time I release this video, so you guys go check it out. And if it does get sold out again, we will restock, but it does take some time to restock, guys. And that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.